Good afternoon, LinkedIn London, and a very warm welcome to all our members tuning in today from around the world for this very special LinkedIn Live. My name is Lucy, and I have the tremendous pleasure of introducing to you the one and only Joe Wicks.
Thanks, everybody.
Joe, welcome to LinkedIn.
Thank you for having me. It's a lovely pleasure to be here. It's the first time I visited the office here.
Absolutely. Well, we're really excited to have you here. As you can see from all these smiling faces, we're going to be talking today about mental health and well-being at work. This is part of LinkedIn's Diversity, Inclusion and Belonging initiative for Mental Health Awareness Week, which is taking place throughout the entire month of May. We really want to encourage more open conversations around mental health, break down existing stigmas and taboos. So thank you everyone for participating on this really important conversation. We've got lots of questions for Joe. If you've got a question that you'd like to ask Joe, please do drop it in the chat and we will get to it very soon. We'll also be taking questions from our live audience here in LinkedIn's office in London today. So get your questions ready and we will come to you very soon. So Joe, it really is such a privilege to be sitting here talking to you. You are someone who has inspired millions of people around the world on their health and fitness journeys. People say that you have changed their lives. People also say that you have saved their lives. P with Joe was a huge success. It reached 100 million people around the world, including my 72-year-old dad, who did your workout every single day, just like so many other people.
Super dad.
Super dad indeed. Joe, how does it feel to have had such a positive impact on so many people?
I'm so glad your dad found it, and I love that there was toddlers doing it, and there was also grandparents, which is the most wonderful thing. I have to pinch myself when I think about the numbers. You know, the numbers of people that took part in that, and you know the amount of people that do my YouTube workouts even now every month, and you know just the things I do, everything. I always think, you know, how have I managed to get here? But what I've realised is what I love doing is inspiring, and I'm really good at communicating. So all I've done from the very first day I was a personal trainer was try and get someone to feel good, to move their body, to, you know, cook a healthy recipe, to change their mental health. And so I just love it. And I'm always thinking the more I give, the more I put out, like the more people that can be helped. And so I'm very much driven. A lot of my self-worth and happiness comes from helping people. And obviously I talked about the documentary that I just done because I just know that for me, being a personal trainer in a boot camp in Richmond wasn't enough. I needed to reach more people. And that's when I started sharing on social media. And then my life completely changed when I started sharing those videos and the wacky kind of leaning 15 stuff at the beginning in the early days.
Absolutely. Joe, you are obviously someone who is extremely passionate about what you do. It's just amazing. It's like contagious. Really, you know, you've got these amazing skills like great communication, empathy. Where do you get all these skills from? Or is it very natural to you?
Thank you so much. I always just think, I'm just myself. And I think sometimes in life you have like an energy and you have a drive and you have a motivation and a determination to just do things and to work. And so for me, back in the early days, like with the boot camp, like there was no one turning up, you know, no one was there. I didn't give up. I just thought if I could keep coming back, keep flying, keep building it, and it eventually grew, you know. And the same with social media. When I first posted my first video on Instagram, I didn't have any followers. I didn't think about a book deal. I wasn't thinking about all these things. And YouTube was the same. I just kept sharing and sharing. So it's innate, it's in me, like something in me wants to help people. I think it really stems back to my childhood. Like I realised that I was a carer, you know, I was caring for mum and dad. I wanted to make sure they were okay. So in that process, something was cultivated inside me that made me want to reach out. So when I did PE with Joe, I wasn't thinking I want to get people moving to lose weight. It was like, I imagined myself as that 7 or 8 year old boy in a council flat with all the energy I had and all those overwhelming feelings. And I thought I need to get them moving. So I did that on the first day and I did it for 18 weeks. And it was always the thing in the back of my mind, like if I didn't have movement and exercise and fitness and sport as a young kid and I was locked in my house, I would have really struggled. I would have been overwhelmed by that. So yeah, these things, these experiences, that and of course my childhood has given me this kind of empathy for people, which I'm proud of because I just want to squeeze it and do as much as I can with it and really get the most out of myself.
Well, it's a lovely gift. Joe, where do you get all this energy from? You give us so much. Where do you get your energy, your drive, your motivation, your determination?
Well, the basics really, like the basics of the things I preach, and I have been from day one, you know, sleep. Like without a good night's sleep, everything falls apart. It's really tough to get up and exercise. It's tough to make healthy food choices. So sleep is paramount to me. Secondly is movement, you know, moving my body. It could be taking the kids around the block on the scooters, or going for a walk in the park, or doing a HIIT session. I physically push myself in order to elevate my energy and my mood constantly. And it's something that I've self-medicated with from a young age. Like, my drug was exercise. It was my way of dealing with how I was feeling. And the third thing is nutrition, like the food we put in our body. Like, my latest book is called Feel Good Food, because we can all exercise, and we can all, even when you get a good night's sleep, you think, oh, I've smashed it. But you wake up tired, lethargic, bloated, and that's because of the food we ate the night before. So it's trying to get those things in harmony. There's not going to be a perfect day where, like, sleep, exercise and food is perfect every day. It's going to be ups and downs, but by fueling your body with the right foods and feeling good, exercising and moving, and then sleeping, it's like a cycle that just keeps fulfilling itself, if you know what I mean. So they're the basics, but also the hardest things to get right in a day and age where there's technology, there's pressure from work, which we're entrepreneurs, we want to work hard, we want to get promotions, we're constantly chasing. And so sometimes you have to slow down and just focus on, look, just get a good night's sleep tonight and wake up and do a bit of exercise before I head off to the office or to the laptop.
Really great advice that I think we can all take on board. Joe, I want to move on to talk about your brand new documentary called Joe Wicks, Facing My Childhood, which aired on BBC One on Monday. Huge congratulations to you. Very powerful, very emotive documentary. It's being very well received. It's about your childhood, growing up with your siblings, and how way back then your parents' challenges and battles with mental health affected you, but also shaped the person you are today. Joe, tell us about the documentary and how it came about.
So firstly, thank you for watching it. I know you said you saw it before, which I appreciate, because when you create something so personal and you're so vulnerable, all you really want is that to be seen, because you want maximum amplitude and just the families to see it and to find it. So everyone that shared it, I appreciate that, and who watched it as well. It's essentially a documentary uncovering the impact of mental health, like parental mental health, on children. And so for me, as a child who grew up in a family of, addiction, my dad from a very young age was self-medicating with drugs, and he became a heroin addict, and that was really tough. That's one element of my life which was really, really tough and very, inconsistent, and just struggles of like relapse and being clean. So that was like one thing I was dealing with. And the second thing was my mum. Her childhood trauma manifested in severe OCD. I don't mean like cleaning the house once a day. I mean pulling the cupboards out twice a day, scrubbing everything, bleaching it like every day, all day. So as a kid, having to make my bed 2 or 3 times a day and not have friends around and not be able to make mess and have shoes on, like these things were so confrontational, like so manic, because I had to keep her happy and keep the house tidy. And then she also had, severe anxiety and eating disorders. So it was a mad, chaotic childhood. But what came out of it was me and Nikki and my little brother George, who are, so loving and so driven, and so, we're great parents. We're stable. We're with our partners, and we're consistent. So that destabilization of my life, get it out, made me want to be a strong, stable human being, and I am. I'm trying to be.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, thank you so much for sharing such a personal story with us all. It's a story that a lot of people may not have known or even necessarily expected. We're going to play the trailer. For everyone who hasn't seen yet, this is Joe Wicks, Facing My Childhood, which is now available on BBC iPlayer. Let's roll the clip.
When you're a kid, all you want is your mum and dad to be happy. So when they're not, it's really hard to deal with that.
With so many families struggling today, Joe Wicks finds out how his parents' mental health shaped him.
I'm lucky you still talk to me.
So hugely emotive. I have to say, I cried the whole way through, and I can see some people nodding in the audience as well. We all cried.
I did too. I was with you. When I watched the scenes back, even I've watched it 3 or 4 times now, the same emotion that I was feeling in that scene, it like comes up, and I always let it out, because I think being vulnerable and crying, being a man and crying is a really powerful thing. Like we're taught not to, and somewhere along the lines we stop crying.
Yep.
But there's no shame in it, honestly, because it releases a feeling or emotion that you need to let out, and never be ashamed of that.
Well, that's a really positive message for everybody. What was it like to film, Joe? It must have been pretty hard, but also maybe a bit therapeutic as well. It felt like there was like a positive energy to, a positive note to it as well.
2 words come to mind. Like emotionally draining and exhausting, because I was going there like with an open mind, thinking like, what am I even going to talk about? Like, what am I going to ask my mum? And I had no script. I didn't know what I was even going to mention. But as things uncovered and unravelled, I realised that I suppressed so much. I suppressed a lot of things, and I blocked out a lot of memories, and asking my mum about things like, why did you scrub the house 3 times a day? Like, what was that? And then she now knows through therapy and through kind of understanding where that comes from. And same with my dad, like he said something which has really, really hit me hard, because he said to me, like, drugs saved my life, you know, because he said when he was a 13-year-old boy, the feelings he had, the thoughts he had, he was suicidal. And then he told me on the phone the other day, he's like, yeah, I tried to commit suicide once. I was like, I didn't even know that. So he told me something after the documentary aired, that he took loads of tablets, but he said if it wasn't for drugs, they soothed him, and they gave him something to focus on and something to escape those feelings. So I was crying every day. I didn't want to talk to Rose when I went home. I felt like I'd been like doing a marathon every day. It felt like a marathon, because my body was like drained, and I just went home and just went to sleep at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night for like a month. And then when it was all done, I could look back at it through a different lens, and I sort of thought, you know what, that was therapy for me. That was therapy. Yeah. And I don't feel the need to like get on the phone and ring a therapist now, because it almost was my therapy. Yeah. And now I'm like so proud of it. I'm so proud of the documentary, and we were all so open. So anyone that hasn't seen it, I really hope you get to see it, because it's not just about, you don't need kids to relate to it. You don't even need to have addiction issues or any depression yourself, but it's just dealing with that feeling if someone in the family does have it. It's like leaning out and reaching out and saying, look, let's talk, let's communicate. And then true growth can happen, and you can actually overcome it.
Yeah, so important. Joe, it must have been really hard being a child, not really understanding what's going on. You just want your parents to be okay and everyone to be happy. You probably didn't know about coping mechanisms back then, but you obviously found a way through that really difficult time. What did you do? Like, what was your outlet? How did you get through?
So luckily, I uncover this in the documentary, that exercise was my outlet. That was it's in my DNA, isn't it? Because I love it and I'm so passionate about it. But when I was 6 years old, the only teacher that could contain me and really deal with me was my PE teacher, because everyone else kicked me out of class. Like, everyone else used to just go, he's the naughty kid, let's just kick him out. Like, Joe Wicks is the wrong one. And maybe they knew what was going on at home, but they never asked me. They never said, what's happening with your home life? I think hope now they do. I think they maybe reach out to children more. But the PE teacher was like the one guy, he dealt with me, he loved me, he thought I was funny, and I got all the kids together and I'd get out on the pitch, and I was like the energy that rallied everyone up. So that was a big moment, because I realised that once I joined the team, or I did PE, that when I walked back into school, I felt much better. And when I went home, I felt happy, I felt calmer, I felt like I don't have to worry about what's going on. And as soon as I earned money, the minute I earned money, everyone else was, probably going down the shop, getting cigarettes and getting some WKDs and some Smirnoff Ices, whatever. I joined the gym in Epsom. And so every day after school, I didn't know what I was doing. I'd go straight from school in my blazer to the Holmes place in Epsom, and I'd spend 2 hours every single day. I don't know why or no one was encouraging me. I just thought, I need to do it. And so that was me, like, just releasing all that anger. So when I went home to my dad and mum, I just thought, there's nothing you can throw at me. I've just smashed myself around the gym. I'm strong, do you know what I mean? And it really helped me.
So exercise has basically always been with you.
And it's the first thing I turn to, even now as an adult, like on a stressful day, on a happy day, on a sad day, I'm like straight to movement, move the body, and the mind starts to change.
There's going to be a lot of people out there who relate to the experience that you had, or maybe just experiencing mental health challenges themselves, depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, whatever it may be. What's your advice to those people, Joe, or the people supporting them as well?
Well, firstly, it's temporary. Everything you feel in life, everything, your physical health is temporary, your living conditions, your parents, like everything, we're always changing. When you accept that and you realise that, you can realise that there's light, and there's going to be progress, and there's going to be some level of growth. So however you're struggling right now, if it's your physical health, your mental health, things can change and they will get better. And that's going to be done with action, right? So the first step, communication, like talk to somebody. Put your hands up and say, I feel really down every day and I don't know what it is. I feel sad. I'm not feeling any joy. Like, learning to understand yourself. Learning to understand yourself can help you feel like you're not alone, because there's loads of people feeling like that. There's millions of families going through this right now. And the second thing, I always promote is movement. When you move your body, you change fundamentally your psychology can change, your chemicals, everything's moving around, so you can actually like pick yourself up when you're feeling down. And to just be consistent with it, because there are days when you feel like you can do it, and other days you feel like you just cannot. The thought of moving or talking to anyone, you just get sucked down. But that's the days you've got to really, really push through and actually say, look, I know if I move my body, if I go for a run or a little walk, I'm going to feel better at the end of it. So that's the message I always repeat. You'll always feel better at the end of a workout or movement. And I'm feeling emotional because it's still like the documentary is so raw, man. It's like a few days ago and I'm still process. I'm getting loads of DMs. It's still like right there in my my conscience at the moment.
That's amazing advice to a lot of people.
Keep sucking you're sucking in the tears because I cry all the time, but I'm trying not to right now.
Sorry to make you cry, Joe. Back then, the experiences that you had, what are you using any of that to put into practice with your own family today? I know you talk a lot about like the importance of being present, putting down your phone. What are you putting into practice?
That's a lovely question, and one I'm really passionate about talking about, because as a child you imagine that life, right? Police knocking on the door, like getting raided, arguments, doors getting slammed, and we had like in council houses you have really cheap thin doors, and they were so thin that you could punch through them. It's just like a thin, so it's like this weird cardboard thing, and I remember there was holes in the door. So I've got visions of that, and doors getting slammed and being shouted at and screamed at and stuff. So as a parent, my default is sometimes that, like I want to slam a door, scream and walk out the house and not come back. And so I'm learning to react differently. I'm choosing to respond differently to my kids. And it is hard because sometimes I just want to scream, and in my head I am, but I'm learning that I can actually change my reaction. I can be different. I can reprogram myself to be a calm, patient human being at times, not always. I try. And it's you just work on it. And the thing about the documentary, you caught me at a time where I was so overwhelmed. I was filming it, I was living it, I was talking to my mum and dad, I was getting so many DMs. It was so intense that at that moment in time, a year and a half ago, I was doing 9 hours a day screen time. I was replying to people and so immersed in it. Since then, I've got much better boundaries. I'm probably doing 4.5, 5 hours a day on my phone, which means the other 4.5 hours I'm with the kids. I'm with them. Like I'm actually with them. I'm not on my phone because the phone's in the drawer or it's turned off. And it's like you've got to win back those hours. And what I've realised is I was speaking to an amazing woman yesterday. She wrote a book called How to Break Up With Your Phone. I interviewed her for my podcast. It's going to be a great episode where she says like we're working against technology, like these apps and all these things are designed to keep you coming back. So you have to physically unplug. You've got to put it away, turn it off and win back some of those hours. And in doing that, my relationship with Rosie is amazing. My relationship with my kids has improved. So it's like we have to just be able to do that, even for half an hour a day or an hour, and you build up your ability to remove the phone and be away from it, which is something we're scared of, isn't it?
Definitely. I'm sure we'll all be tuning into your podcast. We all need some advice there. What do you hope this documentary achieves, Joe? What would you love it to achieve?
So I can already get a sense of, how many people it's impacting, like not just my own family and friends, but also anybody that's following, anyone that's watched it. And I'm getting lots of lovely DMs from people. Some of them are reaching out who are struggling and really in need, but a lot of people are saying, look, thank you for sharing that because I now understand my mum's behaviour, or my dad had a similar thing, and I'm going to reach out and connect with him, and I'm going to give him another chance. Because I think with addiction, and with depression, the person's hurting you so much that you often push them away. In the end, you just give up because you're like, I can't deal with your addiction. I can't deal with the lies and deceit. But when you actually let them grow and evolve, they might have changed. So like, why not ring them up and say, how are you doing? Like bring them back into the family sort of thing. So that's happening a lot. Teachers are saying, it's wonderful that you can now teach children about mental health. So they're going to bring in those worksheets and that kind of program. And then finally, the charity Our Time is getting absolutely smashed with requests from families that want to get help, who may never have known about Our Time and who may never have even thought about reaching out. So that's already a really positive impact. And whether 1 million families see it or 100,000 or 10,000, it's still beneficial in my mind. So just keep sharing it if you can.
Absolutely, it's going to have a tremendous impact. Joe, there's a really interesting story about how the documentary came to life and who produced it. Do you want to tell everyone about that?
Yeah. So Louis Theroux, or in America they call him Louis Theroux, I think they call him, or Louis Theroux. Because I always say to people in America, if you've heard of Louis Theroux, that no, they go, oh, Louis Theroux? Oh yeah, we know Louis Theroux. So I was doing PE with Joe, and I'm a massive Louis Theroux fan. I love his documentaries. I can watch them over and over again. Like I've been through them all. They're amazing. And then I saw this Lad Bible thing popped up where Louis Theroux was doing an impression. We're going, I'm going to do the Philly Billy. Shout out to Nicky Wicks in London. And I thought, this guy's a joker. But it turned out he was doing my PE with Joe workouts. And every single day, bar one, he did every single workout for 18 weeks. And he still does 5 a week, every week of my workouts. So I found out he was a fan. I said, look, can you come on my podcast? He's like, I'm too busy. Then he got back to a week and I said, oh, do you know what? I'm going to find time. I'm going to do it. Came on my podcast. We had this wonderful chat. And then he said, look, if you ever want to do anything in the documentary space around your story, like telling your kind of desert island dish story, let's do it. And then fast forward, we did it. And it's his first ever documentary on BBC One. So it's quite exciting for him because he's obviously always been BBC Two. He came around my house on a workout. and he got in my ice bath, and like I'm sitting there in my living room watching our documentary together. It's mad, but he's as lovely in real life as he is. You see, you know, he's just how he is on camera, isn't he? He's just exactly that. He's just that kind of like just so gentle and lovely, and he's curious, you know, really curious, and I love that about him.
It's amazing. What a really cool story, Joe. Fabulous. Well, we've talked a lot about mental health in family life and everyday life. I'd love us to talk a little bit about mental health at work. At LinkedIn, we saw firsthand during the pandemic the enormous impact it had on so many people, on frontline workers, on people who lost their jobs, people being put on furlough. We even see it now, a lot of people adapting to remote working and trying to find some semblance of work-life balance. Joe, what are you hearing from your followers about the stresses of work when it comes to work? What are they saying to you?
Well, it's one of the reasons I wanted to do the documentary, because the prevalence, these words keep popping up: anxiety, depression, stress, you know, like overwhelmed by work and balancing childcare and trying to do it all, you know, and being constantly switched on, because with the invention of all these apps and all these things, and it's like, you don't just have your laptop at work, it's on your phone. So you wake up, bang, emails before bed. It's like constantly it's overwhelming, isn't it? And we all want to be successful, so we kind of don't ever really turn off. It's hard for us to turn off. And so that was a big motivation for me to release the documentary. And I suppose, there's just a sense of people are struggling financially, they're struggling emotionally, because parenting two young toddlers was more stressful and more overwhelming, more exhausting for me than filming 7 advanced workouts. And so my perception around Rosie was like, you're an amazing mum and you are hard working, and anything I do, you're working harder. Because she's with them, she's taking care of them and nurturing them and being patient, whereas, you know, it's easier to work. And so imagine trying to work and parent and learn and educate, and so it's like there's a real sense of, even if people are working at home, don't think they've got it sweet and cushy, because it's probably much harder than you think. And you know, childcare, it's like it's hard for some people to afford that, so they're trying to juggle it all and balance it all out. And so there's a sense of people feel very alone. They feel like they can't talk about it. They don't want to admit that, you know, I'm not being productive, or I need help with my kids, or I'm depressed, or I'm stressed. Like, people really find it hard to talk about it, especially at work or with your boss or someone more senior. So we've tried to create a culture at the Body Coach where you can be completely open. You can talk about anything and we're going to listen to you. And that's something that a lot of companies might say, but do you actually initiate and really put it into practice? And the answer is you need to really lead from the top and create a really wonderful, nurturing environment.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. There is obviously a lot of people out there who would love to spend more time of their day investing it in themselves, exercising, but may not feel they necessarily have the time. They've got family responsibilities, work responsibilities. What are the kind of easy things that they can do that will make a difference in terms of getting more exercise into their life? Any tips from you, Joe?
There's a few things. Firstly, you need to understand that you should never feel guilty or ashamed or like you're doing something wrong by taking a little bit of time away from the computer or the kids. Because when you do a little bit of exercise, or you you go for a nice walk, or you get a bit of fresh air, when you step back to that computer, you've got more ideas, you feel more, mind's clearer, and you're also a better parent as well, much more patient. So it's like trying to squeeze the exercise into your day. So Nicky, my brother and CEO of the Body Coach, has this amazing thing that he's created called walkie-talkies. Now, walkie-talkie is one of those, Zoom calls or one of those conversations you can have without audio, without visual. Just do it on the phone. Sometimes it's in real person. So, he was doing 3-hour interviews, walking around Richmond Park to recruit new people, because we wanted to get to know people. And rather than sit on a Zoom, we're like, let's go for a walk. So walkie-talkies are great, where you can actually do an hour on calls, but whilst walking. And you would not believe how much your mind clears and you have ideas and you come up with some of the best sessions Nicky's had and myself is a walkie-talkie. And also, dedicate time. Do not give up your health for your wealth. Don't put your work first, because nothing's more important than your physical health and your mind. You want to be energized, you want to be happy, you want to be a good mum and dad, you want to be a confident person. If you let the fitness and the health decline, what are you left with? Just more money in the bank at the end of the year. And you've lost what you really need, which is your health. And it's so true, right? Health is wealth, and you need to be strong physically and mentally. And so you have to just believe you've got the time, rearrange things, prioritize it. And like a meeting, I would never let you down if I had a meeting with you. I'm never going to let myself down if I've got a workout plan. I'm doing it.
Very, very wise words. Joe, you've talked about the importance of exercise. You've touched on sleep and diet. Your new cookbook, Feel Good Food. What food makes us feel good? What should we all be eating?
Well, we know that foods make us feel good, and we also know that some foods can make us feel, like bloated and lethargic and tired, just kind of tapping into like what foods make you feel good. So, some people, you know, really feel great eating like a higher carb breakfast. Let's say like you want to start your day with a big bowl of porridge with some peanut butter and some berries. That might be your rocket fuel. But you might also be someone who's more fat adapted, who likes a fattier breakfast. So you might have smoked salmon and some, you know, scrambled eggs and some cheese and olives sort of thing. So there's no perfect breakfast for everybody, but it's just removing, if you can, the processed foods and the really high sugary, you know, energy drinks and sort of granola bars and all these things and cereals that you think are like healthy. Usually it's just like a quick hit of sugar, your insulin spikes, and you know, you feel like you've got energy, then it drops, and then you're hungry again, and you're sleepy and tired. So just whole foods, you know, more veg, you know, cooking at home, like grilling, you know, grilled salmon and chicken and fish and things that you can just stick in a lunchbox and have cold. Well, you're lucky you've got this amazing canteen here. And I've just seen the snack drawer. Ooh, the snack shelves. That's my issue. So the biggest advice I can give you is have three.
Don't snack.
Yeah, like just have 3 big meals a day. If you start the day with a banana and a low-fat yogurt, you're going to be hungry in 2 hours' time, and you're going to be grabbing everything. So have a massive bowl of porridge and add fats, add peanut butter, sunflower seeds, you know, chia seeds. Add some fats to it to give you loads of energy. And then lunch, don't just have a salad with a little bit of cheese and like 1 olive. Like have loads of cheese, loads of olives. Give yourself proper fat and protein that's going to keep your blood sugar level stable. And then when you look at that shelf, you go, I don't want a chocolate bar now. You don't need it. So the biggest thing is the snacks.
Yeah.
If you can have 3 meals a day and just don't have those snacking windows in between, then that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Good advice.
And one other thing as well. Do you know the last thing? Go to bed earlier.
So how many hours sleep does the body coach get every night with 2 kids and 1 on the way? What's your kind of optimum?
Like I try to go to bed at like, if I can, 10 o'clock and then be asleep till 6. So at 10 till 6 is like my golden kind of time. But what I mean about going to bed earlier is, you know this and I know this, when I stay up between the hours of say 10 and midnight, that's when I'm playing Call of Duty, sitting on the TV, watching loads of Netflix and eating the popcorn, the chocolate, the ice cream, the yogurts, the marmalade and toast. All my snacking happens in those hours.
Yeah.
So by going to bed at 2 hours earlier, it truly changes the body. It truly changes your body composition, because you're just not eating that 1,000 calories that you normally eat after 10 o'clock at night. So get to bed earlier, and you sleep, you eat less, and you make better food choices the next day, and you exercise. So it is sleep. I always say, look at your life and look at your sleep. The first thing you should do is, if you're getting by on 4 or 5 hours sleep and you think, I'm fine, you're just not. You need more.
Okay.
Aim for 7, if you can 8, and you're golden. Do you know what I mean?
What I loved recently, Joe, I saw a video and you were like, set your intention for the day tomorrow. I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. I'm going to exercise. It's a really powerful thought. It does really motivate you. So it obviously helps you.
The reason is, like, I'm an all or nothing kind of guy. Like, if I came in here today and I had, like, you know, loads of the cakes and I had loads of the chocolates, I'm like that all day. So when I set the intention, I just go, you know what, today I'm just going to have 3 meals. You know, I haven't even had one of these cakes. I probably will because they look really good. And I've just got this mindset of like, you know what, when I make a decision, I just decide.
Yeah.
No one's going to make me drink a can of Coke and a chocolate bar today. I'm just not going to have it. So we all have that ability. We just think we think our cravings are stronger than our mindset. Do you know what I mean? But set the intention. I'm just going to drink water today. I'm going to walk for 20 minutes. I'm going to eat 2 healthy meals. It's small, isn't it? It's manageable. Rather than I've got 6 months to lose this weight, or I've got to do this diet. Just do it one day at a time, like small wins, small daily wins, I say.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. So we've got a lot of CEOs and business leaders on LinkedIn, including your brilliant brother, Joe Wicks, who's the CEO of The Body Coach. He's in the audience with us today. Posts lots of interesting things on LinkedIn about all the cool things your company is doing. For all the employers out there, like, what is your advice to them? You know, they might be thinking about how they can take better care of the mental and physical well-being of their employees. What do you recommend?
Just a quick shout out to Joe Wicks and LinkedIn, because I've only had 2 amazing successful partnerships. One's with Gusto and one is with Lululemon. And Nikki, the only way they happened and were really born is because Nikki directly messaged them on LinkedIn, got in a meeting, had a chat, yeah? True. You know, formed a friendship, you know, built a relationship. Like, these things don't happen overnight, but those ideas that are born out of like truly a synergy where you believe in their mission, then you create amazing brand partnerships. You know, when people come to me like, oh, you promote the new Lucozade energy drink, like, it's never going to work. But if we had an idea or something that we can, and that's the power of LinkedIn, you can truly connect with people directly, which is an amazing thing. So yeah, big up LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Secondly, what can companies and individuals do?
To look after their employees.
Well, one of the things we do at the Body Coach is, we really value health and fitness, and we don't just say it, we really encourage it. I say to people, have you done your exercise day? Do you want to go out for a walk, have a break? And we give people an hour lunch break and they get an hour of exercise. So that could be a class, in Richmond, they can pop into one of the spin studios, or they can go to the local leisure centre. Back in the day, we had a gym. You've got an amazing gym here. You're really, really fortunate here. But if you haven't got a gym, it's just get outside, go for a quick walk or a run or something. But encourage it and let your staff know that you're doing it. Lead from the top. Tell yourself as a CEO or the director that I'm going out, and let everybody know, so they go, oh look, if he's doing it, I can get away from my laptop for half an hour. And it's something that people struggle with because there's this work kind of mentality that you're failing or you're slow or you're letting everyone down. But the guy that goes for lunch for half an hour, he's winning. Because he comes back and he's smashing it when he comes back. He's the guy that's in tune with his energy, in tune with his mind, and he's coming back, he or she's coming back to elevate and be kind of on another level of productivity, So really encourage it, create social events as well. We do a lot of fun stuff, we'll go trampolining, or we'll go and do we'll go go-karting. We do physical activities where we sort of do, rock climbing, anything that's active. Because some people don't want to do HIIT training and don't want to do the Body Coach, and I don't blame them. But why not do something fun together and make it
encouraging everyone to move, basically.
More social, because a lot of the social sometimes are around, drinking. And I love a party. We have summer barbecues and we all get boozy. But sometimes doing the activities in the day where it's more active and it's more energetic, I think is really good for the culture of a company.
Awesome. Really good advice again to employers. Joe, final question. You've got some exciting things happening with your app for employers. It's coming soon. Body Coach for Work. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I'm really inspired by, when I think about what Headspace and Calm, these amazing companies have done to really elevate mental health and fitness as well globally. And a lot of their success comes down to that thing of reaching out to businesses and working on a major scale. So we've started to think now, can we utilise that ourselves? Can we really create change, not just on an individual level with someone, say, download the app at home, but on a cultural level within a community, within big companies and organisations? Because I truly believe that my workouts, my message, my philosophy is really powerful and really simple and it's really digestible. And so we're going to launch that soon, where we're going to reach out and hopefully get whole companies on board with the app. And really benefiting. So I think a workforce that is healthy, that is physically fit and active and energetic, they are so much more valuable and they're so much happier. And you want to look out and see happy people that are healthy, because that's a good sign, because it means they're happy in their lives, emotionally, their relationships, they're eating well, they're sleeping well. You don't want to ever look out at your team and go, we're smashing. Look at the money we make as a company, but all your team are unhappy and unhealthy, because that's not success.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of employees out there asking their bosses for your access to your app. Awesome, Joe. We've powered through all those questions. We're now going to open it up to our audience of LinkedIn employees and also our members on the feed. Let's start with questions from the room.
I loved your questions, by the way. Thank you. Really nice questions. Don't be shy. We got at the back.
Lots of hands going up.
Stuart, hi. My name's Stuart. Nice to meet you, Joe. I was lucky enough to go see Russell Brand this week in Bristol, and he mentioned how embarrassing it was to get in your ice bath and be compared to your body. You've also mentioned the ice bath. I'm just really intrigued as to what the benefits for having an ice bath in your garden and who else has been in there.
The only men of note will be Louis Theroux and Russell Brand. But yeah, Russell's a good friend of mine, and I love him. He's 10 years older than me, and he's still got a credible rig. He's got a great body, so don't worry about that. But no, I know he dropped something and saying
it's really embarrassing because he's not fat, is he? At the end of the day, he's got a good body.
He always says if he didn't do heroin and drugs, he'd look like me. It aged him.
That's in his set.
Yeah, no, he's lovely. We did a little meditation together, and I've got a lot of time for Russell. But the reason I do the ice bath, it's not like my joints hurt, my muscles ache, I've got arthritis. No, it's I just want to my mind. I want to be able to control my breathing. It's like a meditation for me, because it's so uncomfortable when you jump in the ice. And I started with cold showers, so that's the 30 seconds in or a minute. But the ice is another level, because whatever you're thinking of, whatever's going on in your mind, you cannot think about it in the ice. All you can think about is your body and how cold it is and how unpleasantly uncomfortable it is. But you overcome it, and it releases a lot of stress. And then when you step out, you feel absolutely incredible, like electric energy, focused. And that for me, it's the mental health benefits. So yeah, give it a go. If you ever get a couple of bags of ice from Sainsbury's in your bath, it does the job. You don't need loads, just cold water, 2 or 3 bags of ice, and you've got a nice little ice bath. Everything shrinks for a few hours though. You're out of business.
Let's go to the next question.
Kirsty. I'm a big fan. Thank you so much.
We had a hug, didn't we, earlier on?
Yeah, we did. Thank you. It's been great to see you be so open about mental health, because when I was younger, there was a massive stigma around it. And you talk a lot about how, your personal growth. I also have a podcast, and a key question I always ask is, what advice would you have given to your younger self? So we'd love to hear.
Oh, that's a lovely question. It's always one that chokes me up, because I always think about my boy self and my adult self. But basically, as a kid in that environment, we were considered, we're wrong-uns, we were in a council estate, we were the nutty family that people didn't want to go around. And, my mum and dad, the people just thought they were bad parents and we were going to amount to that. So there's very little expectation. And so as a kid, I used to think that something like, am I, hang on, I used to think, am I a waste of space? Like, am I just this kid that everyone else should just be the naughty kid forever and end up like that? But I suppose I'd say to myself, you're more than that. You are, I'd say you're a really lovely kid and you're a really lovely boy. And when you're older, you're going to help so many people. So don't listen to them and just keep being yourself and keep being kind to people, and you're going to have an amazing career, I suppose.
We have a great big round of applause.
That's a hard question, isn't it? I think if you asked anyone that question, it could bring up emotion, because I suppose we're hard on ourselves as children. We're so hard on ourselves, aren't we? And I'm sure anyone who asked themselves the question might have a little bit of a tear for their younger self.
Definitely. We'll take one more from the room and then jump to the chat.
Hi, my name is Bright.
Hello, Bright. Bright?
Bright, like a light.
That's a great name.
Just wanted to ask, do you have a cheat day? What do you think of cheat days? And what do you have on your cheat days?
Yeah. Shine bright. I had to. Basically, I don't see it as a cheat day. I just see it as life. And some days I have really emotional days where I just want to eat everything in sight. And I'll start in the morning and it'll be like a chocolate bar, and then it'll be loads of cereal and loads of marmalade on toast and chocolate and crisps. I'm just all day. And I don't see it as a cheat day. It's just I just had an emotional day and reacted to that by eating loads of food. And we always turn into food's way easier than going to do a workout, isn't it? Even though the exercise makes us feel better, the food's it's easier and it makes us feel good for a moment. But it's always afterwards, you do feel lethargic, you do feel tired, and you're bloated and your digestion's affected. So I don't see it as a cheat day, but when I do have those days, and normally it'll be crisps and loads of fizzy drinks and Pellegrino, and so I sometimes get cramps and pains. My body's not used to it and it can't digest it. So it sort of reminds me why I want to eat healthy. But you need to allow treats. You need to be able to have a night out and have a drink and a burger and a pizza, whatever, and not feel any shame. There's no such thing as good foods and bad foods, but some foods do make you feel better. They give you more energy. And so just enjoy the treats. But if it's every day, you are gonna, if you have a takeaway every night and you have chocolate bar and a can of Coke on every lunch break, you are gonna just feel tired when you come back in the room, because that's what that food does to you. So enjoy the treats, but try and just keep it more balanced and a bit more, every other day or something, or every few days.
Thanks, Joe. We're going to jump to the chat. We'll go to Bradley. Bradley shared his comment yesterday, so he can definitely go first. He said, social media is key to growing a profile and developing a personal brand. But how do you protect yourself from the negativity that comes with it? Great question, Bradley.
Yeah, Brad, that's a lovely question. And it's something I used to experience in the early days. People would be critical of my style, my voice, my hair, my type of training, my philosophy on food. But it did affect me. It affected my mental health, because it would upset me when I was so positive and just trying to do such a wonderful thing, that people would still dig me out and literally make podcasts about me or make YouTube videos. So, but I think what happened was, over the years, I've done so much good. I've kind of cancelled out all the bad and negative stuff, because with PE with Joe and people, that were mean and were sort of digging me out, actually retracted their statements and started to remove podcasts and things. So in the end, you're only left with positive people, because the ones that were being mean, they kind of disappeared. But yeah, you're always going to get it. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And I love this quote: you could be the juiciest, ripest peach in the world, but there's still someone out there that doesn't like peaches. Do you know what I mean? And so not everyone's going to love you. I think someone like Dieter Von Tess or someone said that. Because not everyone's going to love your style, how you dress, what you say, the things you believe in, your vision about business and your work style. So just, you've got to shut it out and focus on the people that are giving you positive affirmation and positive feedback and stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe. Claire has asked, how can I take care of my well-being when working from home?
That's a good question. It's something that we're all thinking about. We all want to sleep better, eat better and move more. But why is it so hard? Well, it's hard because stress and kids and work and technology and, entertainment and, devices, and also, just it's motivation, right? It's hard, isn't it, to be super motivated all year round. You have to give yourself a chance to, put things in place that are going to help. So not taking your phone to the bedroom is one thing that's really helped me, because I'm not picking it up. I'm not, like, the first thing I do is not looking at my phone and emails and things. And allowing yourself to exercise. Doesn't need to be an hour a day at Barry's boot camp or, doing a Peloton. It could be a 20-minute walk. It could be a few squats, when the kids are napping. Like, all movement is good for you. So start to allow that into your life, because even the smallest of things can make a difference. And then finally, prepping and getting your food in the house, getting yourself set up for success. Because if you don't prepare your own food, who's making it? It's a restaurant, it's takeaway, or it's delivery or Uber Eats or something. So get some food in the house that you can come in. Like, I do these really quick stir fries that are literally in 3 minutes. Mixed bag of veg, noodles. I throw loads of peanut butter and soy sauce on it and sprinkle some crispy onions or something on it. And it's like a quick recipe. So it's having those things. Porridge for breakfast, oats for an omelette. You can have an omelette at 10 o'clock at night. Like, it doesn't have to be breakfast. So having the foods in your house and a few things that you can prep in advance makes a massive difference. And then you give yourself a proper head start.
Great, thank you, Joe. Kate has asked, I have seen you doing more HIIT videos outdoors recently. How much do you think getting outside and spending time in nature is helpful for mental health?
I think there's another element, isn't there, to exercise. Like, being on my treadmill is great, and being on my Peloton is great. But when I ride my bike around Richmond Park, listening to some music or a podcast, or I'm out in the park walking with my kids, it's another level of clarity. It's another level of connection. And when you live in a city like this, maybe you don't get to parks anymore, and it's quite hard. So taking that time to find local parks or forests and stuff, it's so good for your mind. And we went the other day to this lovely place, and even though it's raining, just having a walk through the trees and being in nature, it does something to us.
Uplifting.
It does something to us. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a spiritual thing or something, but it's a natural connection between being in nature. So yeah, keep doing it. And I take my, with the iPad and stuff, or the iPhone, I put it outside and I do the workout in the garden if it's sunny, and you feel better. You feel like you've got fresh air as well. When you're in your house, there's like a climate in your house.
Yeah.
When you get outside, you get some fresh air, and it's good for you.
We'll take some more questions from the room. Couple more.
There've been some great questions so far. I
Really
love
great
the
questions.
Don't make me cry, please. Got so much emotion right now in my body. It's hard.
Hi, Joe. Ryan here.
Hello, Ryan.
I know you're a big fan of The Office, so I was going to ask you if there will ever be a boy born that'd swim faster than a shark, but that's probably a bit of a waste of time. We know the answer to that. You mentioned 2 words earlier on in the Q&A that began with B. The first one was barbecue. The second one was boozy. I like a drink.
Yeah.
What are your tips around drinking and hangovers?
Well, I mean, firstly, I'm a big Office fan, so guilty. Get a new rule book. He hasn't watched it, but yeah. My favourite comedian of all time is David Brent. It's Ricky Gervais, that's David Brent. But booze, I'm not a massive drinker. I never have been really. But when I do drink, it's like a big occasion. It'll be a birthday, it's Coachella, it's a festival. It's like something big. I'm not like someone who just gets drunk at home. I've got a gin collection. I love my gin, but that's more of a kind of, I like collecting the different flavours and having a little taster sort of thing. But I mean, look, you're going to get drunk because you love it and you enjoy it. But it's not so much the booze, it's the next day, isn't it? Because you just don't want to move your body. You've got no energy and you want to eat everything in sight. And so sometimes the hangover has a 2 or 3 day knock on, doesn't it? So sometimes you've got to say to yourself, like, do I want to get drunk tonight and have a boozy one, or do I want to have a really energetic, productive weekend and get out and do exercise and be alert and stuff? So some days you've got to just make a choice, right? But on a hangover, you just got to, as soon as you get home, chug the water, have a slice of marmalade on toast, get in bed. And I do believe that in the morning, even if I don't do a proper workout, I might just get on the Peloton and turn my legs for 20 minutes or go for a walk. It does help clear the mind a little bit. But alcohol, it's a great thing, right? It unlocks a lot of fun in your night, but it's a depressant. The next day, you have a come down. You feel sad. You don't feel great. So you've got to decide how many times you want to come down and how many times you want to wake up feeling fresh. But even like a glass of wine and a couple of beers at night, it does have a little cloud on your head the next morning, doesn't it? So that's what a lot of people struggle with, that social, like, oh, I just need a glass of wine, I've got a bit of me time. But sometimes it's going to hold you back from being truly like energetic and like up for a HIIT session the next day. So yeah, you've got to find your balance with the booze. I think it's just about getting, having a balance where you feel happy, you socialise, but you're not on it every weekend,
Let's take another one from the room.
Yeah.
Hi there.
Hi. I mentioned when we took a selfie, I've got 2 kids, and something that I grew up with, just this innate love for exercise, and that stayed with me my whole life. But something that plays on my mind as a parent is, how do I implant that in my kids? So the whole Pee with Joe initiative has been really good for them. But do you have anything else planned in terms of kids and exercise, and your own tips in terms of how you can kind of plant that seed early on?
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because like, if you don't get it into their DNA, like as a young age, it's very hard getting a teenager who's like self-conscious and on WhatsApp and on social media all day. Like they don't want to do it, and they're just going to go, "I ain't got to do it, Mum. I'm not doing it." So like these years now are fundamentally important. They're so crucial that you keep showing them you exercise, doing it in front of them, doing activities that are outdoorsy, getting outside and breaking away from the phones and Disney Plus and stuff. Because if you don't, it's really hard to get them into it. So keep having fun and let them try lots of different sports, because some kids don't like doing group sport. They're never going to be like a team player, but they might love the challenge of bouldering and rock climbing or playing whatever, skateboarding, whatever it may be. I think the more events and more kind of sports they can try, the better. One of them is hopefully going to stick. And just talking about it, keep talking about how important it is. It's not just about, you don't need this for your body, but it's for your mind. Like, you're having a tough day, why don't we go for a little run or go for a bike ride around the park? Like, these little moments, they'll connect the dots and they'll realise, actually, no, Mum's not just saying it, it really does make me feel better. But yeah, just keep hammering it as much as you can between now and like 11 or 12. You've got this window to really get them into it, I think.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. We'll jump back to the chat. Final question, because I know we have to wrap up soon. Natalie asks, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? So bigger picture.
I'll ask Nikki that. Nikki, where are we going to be in 5 years now? I don't know. I've got such a good balance. In my life, I work so hard, right? And I really work hard in like condensed amounts of time. And Mariana knows this because she does my diary. But I'm not someone who constantly chasing and needs to be busy all the time. So I have a month off. I plan trips with the kids. Like, I've got a lovely balance. So I don't see myself burning out if I can maintain that lifestyle. But what I do see is, the Body Coach brand, the Body Coach as a collection of trainers and just an organisation is going to be the place you think of when you want to get physically strong and healthy and mentally happy as well. So I think there's a lot more growth. There's a lot more countries to visit, a lot more schools to visit. And I really want to I'd love to create a platform for schools to tap into with exercise and mental health. Like, the documentary made me think of that. Like, why don't we create something? Why don't we create the Body Coach program for mental health in schools? Because people will listen, they'll tune in. So I've got loads of ideas. I've got a notepad that I'm writing all this stuff down in, and it's just like I've just dumped it all on. I'm gonna sit with Nikki tomorrow and like go through it, because I just think I've done amazing things with PE with Joe and with the documentary, but it can't just end there. I have to keep the conversation going. I have to keep visiting and talking and sharing. And so that could be resources, it could be video content, but as long as I've got the energy and love for it, I'm going to do as much as I can.
Well, I'm sure you will do it, Joe. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking to you today. You are certainly one in a generation. It was so wonderful to see you receive your MBE with your brother recently. So
thank you.
So well deserved. Thank you for being here. Thanks for energising us all.
Thanks, everyone.
And a huge thank you to our LinkedIn employees and all our members tuning in today. You can follow Joe Wicks and the Body Coach on LinkedIn. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.